Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Chalk Talk, where teachers and admins gather from across the country to share their ideas, ask questions, and support one another through the test prep journey. This whole last month, we've kind of just been talking about ramping up to the testing season, what we need to do, how to get ready. If you're wondering whether your school's officially in testing season, I've heard that some of the universal signs are Chromebooks going missing, not really having enough headphones, or seeing headphones appear in like six different emails in the same day. Teachers start practicing things like, okay, class, today we're practicing how to stay calm for 90 minutes. That's usually a sign that we are definitely in testing season. It is go time. Things are happening. And today I thought instead of talking a little bit about, the kind of things we have been talking about for the past couple of weeks, like theory of, how can we do better or what are some tips and tricks, I thought we'd just talk about some real situations that actually came up this week. And I'd love to hear from you guys about your week as well. Anybody who'd love to share a story with the school or anything, please feel free. If you, especially people from our team on Lumos, if you remember working with a school or anything crazy happened and we've been trying to, help out there or support, feel free to share. I'd love to hear. Hey, Mr. Lin, how are you?
Good. I'm sorry, running from our other building.
No, no. Oh man, no problem at all. We were just talking about some stories from the week in terms of how we've been helping out some schools get things set up. I know that Kelly, Alicia, we've all had some crazy fires to put out.
Yeah, I think this is kind of more in the general sense, but I mean it is I think all of us, regardless of what we do for a living, what seats we're sitting in, we can feel I love that you just said fires. Like we have been putting out a lot of fires this week. It's testing season. This is the season when people are really using Lumos the most. So a lot of things are coming up, good, bad, or otherwise. Um, Something I think that's been really fun for me this week is when teachers or administrators have called in with just like there's like this tiny little thing that's causing such a huge roadblock for them. Maybe they lost their password to get logged into Lumos, or one of their students can't find something. We have a chat feature now where teachers can chat in when they have these little questions. And it is so satisfying just to be like, oh, I know the answer to that right away. I don't have to grab another team. This isn't like a tech issue. I don't have to get engineering involved, although we will totally get them involved. But just these like easy little wins of like, oh, I can fix that right away. And that thing that you thought might take you 24 to 48 hours, you can go do it right now. So it's great for the teachers because they get, the instant fix to the thing. But as a human being, a lot of the problems that I work on here are not easily fixable and they don't have quick solutions. So it's just like a selfishly, it's lovely for me to be like, oh my gosh, I fixed the thing. I fixed the thing. I did the thing is done. I tied a bow on top of it and I get to check that off. Like it's the little wins. It's like when you're making your to-do list and there's something you already did that day and you put it at the top just so you can like, yes, I already put the laundry away, even though you know you already did it because you want that visual that you did a thing. So it's been really nice to solve those tiny problems in the midst of the larger complications that that we're working on with our customers and the things that they're facing in their school districts that we're trying to navigate with them. So yeah, the little wins have been great this week.
Oh man, I love that. And just so that everybody can also see it, let me share my screen quickly and show you how to get to that chat feature. So there's that little help icon on the top right. If you click there, then you see this little chat with us button. I think you should be able to reach it right from the main screen as well. There's this little chat bubble on the bottom right corner. You can just click on that and it pops up.
And just to double down on that for anyone who's not aware, that gets you to an actual human. This is not an AI whatever. I'm not anti AI, but like you're not getting some automated system. You get an actual real live Loomis human being who is going to help you right away. And if you just ever want to chat in and say, "Hey, we love you guys," that would be fine. We would be okay with that.
I mean, the extension to that is if there's a slightly more complicated problem, the person on the other end of that chat is going to give you a Zoom link that you can click in on and actually talk to someone live. So if you ever need to share your screen, go through something like really quickly, figure something out, you have someone live available to you at all times.
And even better than that is you get either Vivek, Alicia, Julia, or I. So you get one of the four of us on that call. get to see our lovely faces even more.
Oh, how's your week been, Kelly?
It's been crazy. So I actually had a really cool one today that was, and I'm actually going to be presenting it to the team later. So we have a school in New York that, and as you all know, around this time of year is when we get a lot of customers calling us in a panic saying, we bought your program, we haven't used it yet, help us please right now. Which we are totally great with because we love getting everyone started. And I had a school today in New York who is not only using the Lumos program, but wants to create custom assignments for their Saturday program. So what they're doing is they're taking the reports, they're looking at what students are partially proficient, and then they're breaking them into cohorts to work on specific standards. So we were talking about how to create customized digital workbooks for those Saturdays so that the students are working with other students with those same issues with those specific standards. So that was really fun for Alicia and I to work on this morning.
Yeah, no, and I love that it's kind of aligning with everybody's timeline as well. We're really ramping up here with those extra Saturday classes. I feel bad for the kids, but at the same time, at least
Yeah,
we're able to help them, right?
exactly.
Oh man, yeah, no, I had a school from Georgia. And I gotta say, the reason this school really stood out to me was the principal. We made a mistake on our end because we had worked with so many schools and there were so many moving parts. One of our team members sent out an email with an incorrect link to log in. And then because the principal was so patient and, forgiving and graceful, we got on the phone really quick, got on Zoom, and I was like, it's working for me. Why isn't it working for you? We figured out it was something as simple as just like a mistake with the link. It was just that small little typo. And it could have been a huge problem because they were planning to administer that practice test today, but the principal just being calm and understanding that there could be these few issues, that was so, so helpful to kind of get to the bottom of it and actually solve it rather than just getting caught up in a lot of the chaos that can be caused. But we've really been thinking a lot about how can we really help or make a difference with the administrators within all of this chaos. One of the ideas that kind of came to mind was maybe just telling administrators where we are right now in the year, giving them a quick snapshot of how many students have actually completed their first practice test. How well did they do? What do we need to do next? So we are experimenting a little bit, and I'll give you a quick peek at one of the reports that we created. This is very text heavy, and it gives you a good detailed insight into how the school is doing currently. I am going to skim through this because it does have some school information. I don't want to show you guys everything. Um, all of this is anonymized or aggregated data, so there's no personal information, just to clarify. What we are seeing here is a list of priorities, a list of recommended actions, and a good division in terms of what are the different ways that you can approach um, skills mastery, or at least like this last leg, what can really help get those students on the cusp over into the next level. We have a little timeline that's helpful. But the main thing is that you can reach out to us for support. So the email is much shorter, very easy to read, a quick snapshot of who's doing well, who's not doing well, how many students are at risk. And then you can give us a quick call, set up additional time with us to just talk through kind of what strategies we do recommend in this very lengthy report. But I am excited because we are seeing some responses from our administrators who are just, excited about um, starting something new in terms of how can we, at the very end of the year, still try to get some meaning out of this or some, and I think that is a very exciting environment for me to be in, where we're going to hustle, we're going to do the best with what we can. And I've really appreciated that with a lot of our principals over the last couple of weeks. Awesome. The last thing I wanted to talk about was a conference that we went to last week. Our very own Michelle Rollins and Dr. Richard Katz were representing us in New York, and they did a little workshop on how you can assess or figure out whether your school is ready for the state test. So we can look at technology readiness, teacher familiarity with the platform, scheduling readiness, student familiarity with testing procedures, There are so many different things, and the reason this is so, elaborate, and I really want to talk through this a lot more next week, is because Dr. Katz and Ms. Rollins have phenomenal experience. Ms. Rollins was a principal for many years. Dr. Katz was a superintendent in New Jersey for a very long time, and he's also been a professor for the last 20 years, focusing on education. And I think they really have a good understanding of how we can look at test prep as a part of the school's culture rather than as a single goal or objective towards the end of the year. And I'm very excited to share the tool that we've created together to assess readiness of a school, go through what that checklist looks like. And if anybody's interested in participating in next week's conversation with Dr. Katz, discussing some of the strategies that his tool will recommend, feel free to respond to our email that we're going to send out from Samantha. She's going to reach out to you to see if you'd like to participate in that. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. He's agreed to sit down for a little over an hour next week to go through at least one school's results from that tool. We would love for them to kind of fill out that questionnaire early on, go through the results, and then have a conversation with that administrator. I'm super excited. I hope it does go well. Before I wrap up, I would love for your input. So, when you think about testing readiness, what is the one signal that says or that kind of signifies to you that your school is ready? Is it, students are completing their practice tests? Is it that teachers are feeling confident? Is it about schedules? What exactly for you is that indicator that your school is ready to take the test? And if this is like even something that you remember from before, I know that we have Will, who used to be a teacher. Mr. Lin, if you have any examples from your current testing season, what is that indicator or that marker for you guys? I'd love to hear.
While people are thinking on this, I just wanted to draw attention that Kelly is no longer on the call because someone live chatted in with an issue and Kelly hopped off to go offer live support with them. So it was so I wanted to yell at that Vivek was talking when it happened. I was like, she's doing it. She's doing it right now.
That's hilarious. And now she gets to cross something off the list or make the check mark, which
Yeah.
also feels great. I guess I think as an admin at this point in time, like I this is not a great answer, but I think it's a lot of like vibes in like my conversations with teachers, and then when we have course team meetings and we kind of look at the data and whether or not like from their experience, like how the kids are doing. I mean, there's a whole logistical side of like, are we ready to give the test? Are we have an incentive structure and do all that? Like, are the logistics in place? But like whether or not they're academically ready for it, um, I don't know if I have like a specific real-time metric at the moment besides like how are my teachers feeling about if the kids are ready for this exam?
No, honestly, that makes so much sense because I've been kind of racking my brain to figure out what that indicator would look like, and I agree, it is vibes. I mean, even on the day of the test, if something goes wrong, there's no way to predict that. It's would the previous vibes or the level of confidence be high enough or solid enough to help the students overcome whatever happens on the day of testing? I think it's a great indicator. There's no way to quantify it for sure, and we don't help with creating vibe reports, but I think we're going to get there. In a couple years, we're definitely going to be able to say, oh, I'm into vibe reporting, just like I'm into vibe coding.
I think for me as a former educator, the later you get in the year, the farther you get away from those first standards you covered. So, you cover 5.1, 5.2 back in September, and then now you're at 5.8, 5.9. And I think the good signal that your students are ready is if they're starting to remember the first standards, and like what you covered in September and August. And it's because you have to start doing here's the next 2 weeks. We're just going to review the entirety of the school year in 2 weeks. And then when they're starting to connect the dots of remembering those first couple standards, those first couple lessons, and now they're able to like connect it to everything else you taught. You actually kind of have a streamline of thought from the first month to the current month. That's when you start getting like, okay, they're ready. They have left everything behind in first semester.
That's actually really interesting. So in terms of, how our tool works and what we're looking at, would you feel like we would need to create like a custom lesson to show or to indicate that type of understanding, or how would we do that from like a practice test perspective?
So if I was a teacher using the platform, I would go through it as normal, standard by standard, and then I would say the month before um the test, I would every week I would have like a refresher assessment,
Hmm.
and I would have this first assessment, this week one is just going to be covering standard 5.1 and 5.3, and it is just to review these core standards. And then the next one is 5.4 through 5.6. And so I would do that personally. That's something I did as a teacher, is I would have like chunk assessments to do that. And then however they did, I would start the next week with targeted review of like, hey, I see some discrepancies here. You guys forgot about this or that. Let's spend some time reviewing. But having like taking the first couple or first domain, doing an assessment, getting the results, doing the next one, uh, because the more content you throw at them, the less they'll remember as they get further away from it. And some schools have six or five or six domains and like 20 or 30 standards. By April, they have forgotten the first 10 or so, and now you're hoping that they remember it in time for the test. So I would always try to chunk the first like couple into like assessments or review sections to go over again.
Actually, this is interesting. I mean, I just had a conversation with our AP Calc and Pre-Calc teacher who is in essence using Claude to build in like this really beautiful iterative process on warm-ups in that spiral review and critical topics. And basically he is like, here's like the output that we want. We need to do well on the AP exam, and then like identify the critical skills. Um, Claude basically makes him the warm-up questions and the quizzes every week. And then he feeds that data back into Claude, and then it like generates the next week's kind of materials. And he was like, initially, when I was doing that spiral review, it would take him like an hour, 30 minutes to an hour to create those warm-ups, to figure out the spiral review, identify like the topics that he wanted to do. And he has gotten that down to about 5 or 10 minutes, almost like a week
Oh, man.
to do it on its own. And the output, I mean, because initially, like the output on the AI is like really kind of poor. Like
Yeah.
you'd have to tweak everything. The graphics weren't perfect. He was spending a lot of time on it. But he says that Claude has gotten to the point where, he catches maybe one or two errors, but most of it is just almost ready to use.
No, it's ridiculous that everybody is doing the exact same thing over the last 3 weeks. I built out like an agent that does exactly what Will just described, but with the name Luma because it's the Lumos assistant. So like figuring out how to build Claude code right into it has been really, really fun, and we can't wait to show everybody what it's going to look like. It is going to take a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of planning to figure out how to integrate it. But at the end of the day, it would be amazing if Lumos could do exactly what you just said, Mr. Lin, and what you described, Will, because that's where we are in the world today. And it's important for us to really understand what it means to have an agent helping us through a lot of these complicated tasks that took us hours and hours and hours to do. I think one of our other schools, who's also coincidentally in Illinois, told us that their teachers saved 3 whole days that have been allotted for creating different quizzes within their school. So that was really cool to understand. I know that they have their PLC coach who kind of takes them through a PDSA cycle. And it was a part of that cycle that they had a lot of quizzes. And this tool that we have, the auto generator that uses very old technology, old meaning like probably from a couple years ago. Um, but yeah, when with Claude and everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks, in fact, it's just changed the game entirely. I can't wait to see how it goes. I'd love to talk to your teachers as well, Mr. Lin, especially like if they'd be willing to join Chalk Talk just to hear how they're using Claude in the classroom. That would be so cool because so many other teachers, I think, would love to use some of these tools that are available to them. Like instead of just playing around using it, that would be really cool. We were at conferences, and one of the conferences was in Colorado. It was the ESEA, the Title I conference. And there was a whole panel discussion on how you can use AI in the classroom. One of the tools was, I think, Magic School AI. That was also really, really cool. Definitely not as good as Claude, but still very cool. Awesome. Well, today I think. I loved hearing about a lot of those real struggles, a lot of the cool things that we could do towards the end of the year. Overall, I'm very, very excited to be hearing from all of our schools. A little disheartened by some of the problems that we're facing, but I think because we have such a wonderful team with like Alicia, Kelly, Will, Chris, and all of these different amazing people that are helping us talk to these customers and make sure that they're having a good experience with Lumos. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you to all the customers who have been crazy patient and also very passionate about just getting these practice tests to the students. We really appreciate our customers. If there's anything that you would like to explore with your school, especially in terms of readiness for the actual test, if you'd like to test out our new tool that helps you assess that readiness, please let us know. Samantha will be reaching out. But until then, thank you so much for joining Chalk Talk this week, and I will see you next week.